She arrived on Earth quietly. No fire in the sky. No loud ships. No panic. The small silver craft slipped through the clouds like a falling leaf and landed far from cities, far from cameras, far from noise. To the people of Earth, nothing unusual happened that night. They slept. They dreamed. They woke up to another normal day. But for her, everything changed. Her name, when translated into human language, meant one who searches. On her world, names were not chosen by parents. They were given by purpose. And her purpose was clear. From the moment she was born, she was a seeker. Her species had reached the top of science, technology, and logic long ago. They had cured diseases, controlled aging, and mapped half the known galaxy. Their cities were perfect. Their lives were long. Their society was stable. Too stable. For generations, fewer children were born. Not because they could not reproduce, but because their bodies and minds had become too precise, too selective. Their biology demanded perfection, and perfection was rare. So, they searched. They traveled from world to world, studying other species, testing compatibility, looking for mates who could strengthen their future generations. It was not romance. It was survival. Bonds were permanent, logical, and planned. Love, as humans understood it, was unnecessary. Earth had never been important. Humans were classified as emotional, unpredictable, physically weak, and technologically behind. But there was one thing that caught the attention of the seekers. Humans adapted. They survived disasters that should have ended them. They lived on a planet that tried to kill them daily. They fought disease, climate, and each other. Yet they kept going. Their genetics were messy, but flexible, so Earth was added to the list. She did not expect much. As her ship powered down, she reviewed the mission again. She would remain hidden, observe, scan, test candidates silently. If no match was found, she would leave and report failure. Simple, efficient, safe. She stepped onto Earth's soil for the first time and felt something strange. Gravity was slightly heavier than her homeworld's. The air was thick, full of moisture and scent. Her skin sensors reacted to thousands of unfamiliar signals at once. Sound, wind, life. Too much life. She adjusted her suit and activated her camouflage. To human eyes, she would be nothing more than empty air. She moved toward the nearest town. Over the next several days, she watched. She watched humans wake up early, tired, and still go to work. She watched them argue over small things and laugh minutes later. She watched them help strangers for no logical reason and hurt people they loved for reasons that made no sense. They were confusing. She scanned thousands. Most failed instantly.
Genetic instability.
Emotional imbalance. Poor long-term survival odds. Some passed basic thresholds but lacked compatibility. Then she scanned him. The results surprised her so much that she checked the data twice. Nothing stood out. He was average. Average height. Average strength. No rare markers. No exceptional intelligence readings. No leadership status. No influence. No wealth. He lived alone in a small apartment near the edge of town. He worked a simple job repairing machines that other humans were too impatient to fix. He followed routines. He made mistakes. Completely unsuitable. And yet, her internal systems hesitated. The compatibility score refused to finalize. That had never happened before. She watched him more closely. He woke up early, not because he wanted to, but because responsibility demanded it. His alarm failed one morning, and instead of anger, he laughed at himself and rushed out the door. At work, he fixed broken things without complaint. When something could not be repaired, he still tried. When others took credit, he said nothing. When a coworker struggled, he helped without expecting anything back. None of this mattered. And yet, the hesitation remained. One evening, she followed him as he walked home. He stopped at a small store and bought food he clearly did not enjoy but could afford. Outside, he noticed a stray animal shivering near the door. He sighed, then went back inside and spent the rest of his money on something warm for it. This made no evolutionary sense. He went home with less food and more responsibility. Her systems flagged the behavior as irrational. Her instincts flagged it as important. She adjusted her observation parameters. That night, she reviewed her data again. The mission clock continued to count down. She could not afford delays. There were better candidates. Stronger ones, smarter ones. Yet her attention returned to him. She told herself it was a calculation error. The next day, something unexpected happened. He saw her. Not her true form. Not fully, but something. She had misjudged the camouflage. Earth's sunlight behaved differently than predicted. As she observed him from a nearby street, he suddenly stopped walking. He turned. His eyes narrowed slightly, not in fear, but curiosity. "Hello," he said to empty air. Her heart rate spiked. That never happened. Humans were not supposed to notice. She froze, every instinct screaming to retreat. He stepped closer. "I don't know why," he said slowly, "but it feels like someone's standing there." Her disguise shimmered, just a little. Enough. He blinked, then laughed softly. "Yeah, I really need sleep." He shook his head and walked away, but he felt her. That was new. Back inside her hidden ship, she reviewed the event with extreme focus. Human perception was not listed as a compatible trait. Yet he had sensed her presence without technology. Not fear, not aggression, awareness. That night, she dreamed. Her species did not dream. She saw him standing alone under a dark sky, looking up, waiting for something he did not know would come. She woke up, unsettled. This was not part of the mission. The next days passed faster. She stayed close, watching him interact with the world. He failed often. Machines broke again after he fixed them. People ignored his efforts. Life did not reward him fairly. He continued anyway. When she scanned his neural patterns, she detected stress, loneliness, and quiet hope existing at the same time.
Humans should not be able to hold such contradictions.
But they did. Her mission timer warned her again. Decision approaching. She approached him directly for the first time at the end of the week. She dropped the camouflage. Not fully alien. She adjusted her form to appear human enough to avoid panic. Different, but not frightening. Eyes slightly brighter. Movements smoother. Presence calm. He froze. She raised her hands slowly. "I don't mean harm," she said, using the language she had studied. He stared at her, heart racing, but he did not run. "Okay," he said after a moment. "That's new." She tilted her head. "You are not afraid?"
I am,
he admitted.
but you don't feel dangerous. That answer struck deeper than expected.
"My presence should be alarming," she said. "Maybe," he replied. "But you came out in the open instead of hiding. That counts for something." No species had ever judged her by intention rather than capability. She introduced herself with a simplified name. She did not explain her mission. Not yet. They spoke briefly. Simple words. Careful distance. When she left, she returned to her ship in silence. Her report remained unfinished. For the first time in her life, she did not know what the correct choice was, and somewhere deep inside her carefully controlled mind, a new variable formed. Small, quiet, and impossible to ignore. Curiosity. After meeting him face to face, she told herself she would return to normal observation. That was the logical choice. She was a seeker. She studied, she analyzed, she did not involve herself. Personal interaction created bias, and bias led to error. her people had strict rules for a reason. So she stayed away. For almost 2 full days, she did not go near him. She observed other humans instead. Stronger ones. Louder ones. Humans with confidence and influence. Humans who led groups and controlled resources. They all failed. Some had excellent physical traits but unstable emotions. Others had sharp minds but fragile patience. Some were charming but dishonest. Some were intelligent but selfish. Each time the system returned the same result. Incompatible. Then, against her own planning, her attention drifted back to him. He was repairing an old machine behind his workplace, hands dirty, sleeves rolled up. The machine was outdated, parts worn beyond recommended use. Logic said it should be replaced. He fixed it anyway, not because it was efficient, because it still mattered to someone. She noticed that pattern again. Humans repaired things even when replacement was easier. They held on to objects, memories, and people long past their usefulness.
On her world, nothing was kept longer than necessary. She adjusted her disguise and walked closer, pretending to be human. Again.
This time, she did not reveal anything unusual. She blended in. He noticed her anyway. Not instantly, not dramatically, just a small glance, then a second look.
"Hey," he said, wiping his hands on a cloth. "You're
the woman from before, right?" "Yes," she replied. "I wanted to speak again."
"If that is acceptable," he shrugged.
"Sure. I was wondering if I imagined that."
"You did not."
That made him smile, but also tense slightly. Good to know I'm not losing it. They stood there for a moment, quiet. She was used to silence, but this kind of silence felt different. It was not empty. It was waiting. "My name is, He stopped, then laughed softly. "Sorry, that's rude. I'm Daniel." She processed the sound. "Daniel?" she repeated carefully. "No title. No rank. Just a name." "I am called Elira," she said, choosing a name close enough to her real one.
"Well," Daniel said, "nice to meet you properly, Elira." Something in her chest tightened again. She ignored it.
They talked, not about important things, not about missions or science or the stars. They talked about weather, broken machines, and how the city never fixed the same road twice. It was pointless. It was also strangely comfortable. She asked questions, small ones. Why he chose this job, why he lived alone, why he fixed things others threw away. He answered honestly. "I guess someone has to," he said at one point. "If everyone gives up, things just fall apart faster." That sentence stayed with her long after they separated. That night, she returned to her ship and reviewed human history more deeply. Wars, disasters, near-extinction events. Humans lost again and again, yet they rebuilt. Not stronger each time, not smarter every time, but still willing. Her people optimized survival by avoiding failure. Humans survived by accepting it. She ran new simulations. Daniel still failed as an optimal candidate. But when she adjusted the parameters, something changed. When she allowed unpredictability. When she allowed emotional weight. When she allowed choice, the compatibility score rose. Not enough to justify selection, enough to disturb her. The next few days, she met him again. Sometimes by accident, sometimes on purpose. They walked together once. No destination in mind. He told her about his childhood, about dreams he never followed, about mistakes he still thought about, late at night. She listened. On her world, personal history was irrelevant. Only current function mattered. Past failures were erased, not discussed. Humans carried theirs, openly. When she shared small pieces of herself, carefully edited truths, he did not interrupt or judge. He simply listened. That was new. One evening, she noticed something else. Someone else was watching. Not another seeker. Not her people. Human eyes. A group nearby had noticed her differences. The way she spoke. The way she moved. Curiosity was turning into suspicion. Risk increased. Her mission clock warned her again. Time was almost up. She should have left. Instead, she made a decision that broke protocol. She told him part of the truth. They sat on a bench under a dim streetlight. Cars passed. Life continued around them, unaware. "I am not from here," she said. He stared at the ground. Quiet. After a long moment, he nodded. "Yeah, I figured."
I figured,
she asked.
Not the details, he said, just that you don't look at the world the way we do, she explained carefully.
Not everything, but enough. She spoke of traveling stars, of seeking compatibility, of a species slowly fading because perfection had made them fragile. He listened, without laughing, without fear. When she finished, she waited for rejection. "You came here to find a mate?" he asked finally. "Yes. And you're still looking?" She hesitated. "I was," she said. He nodded slowly. "Well, I hope you find what you need."
"No jealousy, no anger.
Just honesty." That response confused her more than anything else.
"Why are you not upset?"
she asked. He smiled sadly. "Because no one owes me anything. If you choose someone else, that's your right. Choice again. Always choice." When she returned to her ship that night, she could not rest. Her thoughts looped, unstable. Her people chose mates to survive. Humans chose partners to live. She received a message from her superiors. Status request. Immediate response required. She delayed. For the first time in her existence, she considered something impossible. What if survival was not enough? What if humanity's weakness, emotion, attachment, choice, was the missing variable her people had erased? And what if the most unsuitable human she had scanned was the only one who had changed her mission without trying? Below the alien sky outside her ship, Earth turned quietly, and somewhere in the city, Daniel looked up at the stars, wondering why they suddenly felt closer than ever before. Under the quiet night sky, Alira stood inside her ship and stared at the message from her people. It repeated again and again, calm and cold. Status required. Mission nearing termination window. Prepare final report. She closed the display. For the first time since her birth, she did not answer immediately. On her world, delay meant inefficiency. Inefficiency was failure. Failure was corrected or removed. Yet here, on Earth, humans delayed all the time. They paused, they hesitated, they questioned, and somehow they still survived. Alira left the ship and returned to the city before sunrise. Human mornings fascinated her. Tired faces, rushed steps, unfinished thoughts. Life moved forward, even when people were not ready. She found Daniel where she expected him to be, at the workshop, already working. He looked up when he sensed her nearby, as if he had learned her presence the way one learns the sound of rain before it falls. "You're early," he said. "So are you," she replied. He smiled slightly. Fair point. She watched him work for a while in silence. His movements were not perfect. He dropped a tool once and muttered something under his breath. "Still," he continued, "you seem distracted," he said without looking at her. "I am considering a difficult decision," she answered. He leaned back and wiped his hands. "Big ones usually are." She sat nearby, careful to copy human posture correctly.
On my world, decisions are calculated. The best outcome is chosen.
Emotion is removed. And here? He asked.
Here, emotion seems to be the point. He laughed quietly. Yeah.
That sounds about right. She studied his face. Does that not make life painful?
It does, he said honestly.
But it also makes it meaningful. Meaningful. The word had no true equivalent in her language. That day, she followed him again, but this time with a new purpose. She was no longer observing a candidate. She was observing a species through him. They went to a crowded market. People bumped into each other, argued, laughed, apologized. Daniel helped an older human carry heavy bags without being asked. He received a smile in return. Nothing more. The exchange held no value. And yet, it changed something in the air. Alira began to understand. Humans did not measure life by efficiency alone. They measured it by connection, by shared moments, by things that could not be recorded properly. Later, they sat at a small food place. Daniel ate slowly, enjoying each bite, even though the food was simple.
"Why do you take so much time?"
she asked. "Because this is the break I get today," he said.
Might as well feel it. Feel it?
She tried to imitate him, slowing down, focusing on taste and warmth. Her sensors recorded the data, but something else happened too, a quiet sense of presence, not useful, but calming. That night, she finally answered her people. She sent a partial report. No selection made yet. Extended observation required. Human emotional structure still under evaluation. The response came faster than expected. Unacceptable delay. Emotional contamination suspected. Prepare for recall. Her hands trembled slightly. She did not tell Daniel immediately. Instead, she spent more time with him. Not because she was running out of time, but because she wanted to understand why the idea of leaving felt wrong. One evening, Daniel noticed her distraction. "You okay?" he asked. "I may be required to leave soon," she said. He nodded slowly.
I figured that day would come. You are not surprised? People come and go, he said. Even the ones we wish wouldn't.
That sentence hurt more than any rejection.
"Does it always feel like loss?"
she asked. "Yeah," he said. "But we keep choosing anyway." She looked at him. "Even knowing it will end?" Especially then. That night, she dreamed again. This time, she saw her world. Perfect cities. Silent streets. Long lives without laughter. No mistakes. No urgency. No warmth. Then, she saw Earth. Loud. Broken. Alive. She woke with her heart racing. The next day, the recall signal activated fully. Her ship systems began automatic preparation. She had limited time before full override. Her people did not ask. They never asked. Alira stood in the city, invisible to everyone except one human who somehow always knew where to look. Daniel found her before she could decide what to do. "You're leaving today, aren't you?" he said. "Yes," she answered. He took a breath.
Then I hope you found something useful here.
"I did," she said softly. "Something my people do not understand." He smiled, though his eyes were tired. "Then maybe it was worth it." She stepped closer. "Daniel, if my people asked you to be chosen, not by force but by choice, what would you say?" He was quiet for a long time.
"I'd ask why," he said. "Because you are..."
"Human," she replied. "That's not an answer," he said gently. She nodded. "No, it is not." The recall signal pulsed again, stronger. She made her decision. She turned off the recall beacon. The ship resisted. Warnings filled her vision. Protocol violations. Risk alerts. Possible consequences. She ignored them all. For the first time, she chose without certainty. She looked at Daniel. "I'm staying. For now." He stared at her, shocked.
"You're sure?" "No," she said honestly, "but humans seem to act without certainty all the time." He laughed, surprised and relieved at once.
"Yeah." High above Earth, far beyond human sight, her people noticed the silence. A seeker had stopped responding. That had never happened before. They began to watch Earth more closely, not because it was dangerous, but because something impossible was happening. A seeker had made a choice. And on a small planet filled with imperfect beings, that choice was changing the future of two species at once. Alira did not leave. At first, nothing dramatic happened. The sky did not change. The city did not notice. Daniel went to work the next morning like always, tired and slightly late. People argued in traffic. Machines broke. Life continued. But for Alira, everything was different. Her ship stayed hidden, silent, waiting. Its systems continued to warn her. Power reserves were limited. Recall signals from her people grew stronger, more frequent. Each message was calm, logical, and cold. Return immediately. Mission failure acknowledged. Further delay will result in intervention. She read the messages and closed them. Instead of returning to the ship, she walked through the city. She watched humans start their days, not knowing that a choice made by one alien among them was slowly changing the future. She met Daniel that evening. He noticed the tension in her posture right away.
"They're not happy, are they?" he asked. "No," she replied.
"They do not understand why I stayed," he nodded. "People usually don't. My people do not value individuality," she said. "They value outcomes." "And you?" he asked. "I am still learning what I value." They sat together on a rooftop that overlooked the city. Lights stretched in every direction, imperfect and uneven. Nothing was planned. Nothing was symmetrical. Daniel leaned back. "You know, when I was younger, I thought there was some big purpose waiting for me. Something important. Turns out, life's just small choices, one after another."
Alira looked at him.
Those small choices seem to matter more than you realize. Over the next days, Alira began to understand humans in a way no report could explain. She watched families argue and forgive. Friends drift apart and reconnect. Strangers help each other during moments that would never be recorded or remembered by history. Humans were fragile. They got sick. They aged quickly. They failed. Often. Yet they kept choosing to care. Her people avoided pain by avoiding attachment. Humans accepted pain because attachment was worth it. One afternoon, Daniel took her to a place he had not visited in years, a small park, worn and uneven. Old trees.
"Faded benches. I used to come here when I didn't know what to do," he said. "Still don't, really, but it helps."
She sat beside him. Children ran past them, laughing loudly. A parent called out warnings that were ignored.
"Why does this help?" she asked. "Because it reminds me I'm not alone," he said.
"Even when I feel like it." That answer stayed with her. That night, Alira received a new kind of message from her people. Not instructions. Questions. "Your behavior deviates significantly from expected patterns. Explain your continued presence on Earth."
She realized something important. They were no longer just commanding.
"They were curious," she sent a response. Humans operate on voluntary bonds rather than optimized selection. Emotional attachment appears to increase resilience, not weaken it. Further study required. The reply took longer this time. Acknowledged. Earth classification under review. Above Earth, far beyond human senses, ships adjusted their positions. Observers activated. Data streams widened. Earth was no longer ignored. Daniel noticed changes too, though he did not understand them fully. Alira seemed distracted, often looking at the sky, listening to signals only she could hear.
"They watching now?" he asked one night.
Yes, she said. My people are paying attention. That bad? That uncertain. He smiled slightly. Uncertain seems to be a theme with you lately. She looked at him. Do humans fear being judged? All the time? He replied.
We just pretend we don't. One evening, Alira finally told him the rest of the truth, not just about her mission, but about her people's future.
They are fading, she said. Not dying, not failing, just slowly disappearing. They removed everything that caused conflict. Emotion, risk, desire.
And that broke something? He asked. Yes, she said.
They forgot how to want. Daniel was quiet for a long time. Sounds lonely, he said finally. Her voice softened. It is. That was the moment she realized something else. Her people did not need stronger bodies. They needed stronger reasons to live. As days passed, small changes appeared in her. She laughed more easily. She hesitated, less when speaking. She began to enjoy moments without analyzing them. Her systems adapted, not by optimization. By learning. The observers above Earth saw the data shift. Human emotional exposure correlated with increased cognitive flexibility. Subject demonstrates increased adaptability and independent reasoning. The reports grew longer, more complicated. One night, Daniel asked a question he had been avoiding. What happens if they decide you have to come back?
Really?
Come back. Alira looked at the city lights. Then I will face consequences.
What kind?
I do not know, she admitted.
No seeker has ever refused a recall. He nodded slowly. Figures. She turned to him.
"Would you want me to leave?" The question surprised him. He thought carefully before answering.
No, he said, but I wouldn't trap you either. She felt something warm spread through her chest.
"You would allow me to choose,"
she said.
"Yeah,"
he replied. That's kind of our thing. The next message from her people arrived the following day. A delegation was coming. Not soldiers, not enforcers, observers. Earth was no longer seen as weak. It was seen as dangerous in a different way. Humans could change others. That scared her people more than weapons ever could. Alira stood inside her ship, reading the message again and again. A meeting would be required. Explanations demanded. Daniel waited outside, sensing something important was coming.
They're coming, aren't they?
He asked. Yes, she said. He took a breath. Then I guess Earth's about to get visitors. Not officially, she replied. Not yet, he smiled.
Nothing ever starts officially with us.
She looked at him, at the city, at the imperfect world that had changed her without trying. For the first time, she understood what it meant to belong somewhere.
Not because she was chosen, but because she chose to stay. And high above Earth, her people prepared to face something they had not accounted for. A species that refused to be evaluated. A species that did not wait to be selected. A species that chose itself. The night the delegation arrived, Earth did not notice. No lights in the sky. No strange signals detected by human machines. The alien ships stayed far above, hidden beyond the edge of what humans could see or measure. To the world below, it was just another quiet rotation of the planet. But for Alira, it felt like the heaviest moment of her life. She stood inside her ship, the air around her humming softly. The presence of her people pressed against her thoughts like a distant pressure, familiar and uncomfortable. They were close now. Watching, waiting. Daniel stood a short distance away, arms folded, eyes on her face. "You don't have to explain everything," he said gently.
I just want to know if you're okay.
She looked at him. Really looked at him. Not as a subject. Not as a variable. As someone who had changed her simply by being himself.
I am afraid, she admitted.
Nee nodded.
Yeah.
That makes sense. They will ask me to justify my choice, she continued.
They will not understand it. Then tell them anyway, he said. Understanding isn't always the first step. She felt that familiar warmth again, the strange strength humans carried so naturally. The connection. Activated. The air in front of her shimmered and shapes formed. Not physical bodies, but representations her mind could process. Tall, calm figures made of light and structure. Seekers. Elders. Observers. Her people. Alira, one of them said, voice smooth and neutral.
You have violated protocol.
Yes, she replied.
Your mission failed,
Another said. No, she said calmly. It changed. There was a pause. Her people did not pause often. Explain, they said. She did. She spoke of humans, not as data points, but as living beings. She spoke of Daniel, though she did not name him at first. She described choice, connection, failure, and persistence. She explained how humans bonded not to survive longer, but to live fuller lives. Our species optimized away uncertainty, she said.
Humans embrace it. That is why they adapt.
Emotion is inefficient, one elder responded. And yet, Alira said, it creates resilience you cannot calculate. They showed her projections, her people's future, clean and quiet, slowly fading. Population stable, but shrinking. Curiosity declining, desire disappearing.
Then she showed them Earth.
Messy, loud, full of contradictions, still growing. Humans are not suitable for selection, Alira said. Selection is too small for them, the statement echoed through the connection. What do you propose? The elders asked.
Choice, she replied. Partnership, not evaluation.
Exchange, not extraction. Daniel listened quietly, understanding only parts, but feeling the weight of the moment. And you? One elder asked. What of your bond? Alira looked at Daniel. I chose to stay, she said. Not because he is optimal.
Because he is willing, because he chooses back.
Silence followed. Longer this time. The observers analyzed everything. Emotional shifts. Cognitive changes. Behavioral divergence. They saw what Alira had become since arriving on Earth. More adaptable. More creative. More alive.
Earth is dangerous, one voice said. Not through force.
Through influence. Yes, Alira agreed. That is why it must be respected. Another pause. Then a decision.
Earth will be reclassified, the elders said. Not as a candidate world.
As a protected equal.
Alira's breath caught. Your defiance, they continued, has provided value.
You will not be recalled.
Daniel let out a breath he did not realize he was holding. And Alira? They added.
Yes, you will remain as liaison, by choice.
The connection faded. The ship fell quiet. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Daniel laughed, shaky and relieved. So we didn't get invaded? No, Alira said softly. You were acknowledged. He smiled. Figures. The days that followed were subtle, but important. Alira stayed. Not hidden anymore, but careful. Her people observed from a distance. Small exchanges began. Shared knowledge, shared questions. Humans did not panic. They never did at first. Daniel continued his life, though it slowly changed. He fixed machines, He helped where he could. Sometimes he looked up at the stars and knew they were no longer empty. Alira learned to live among humans fully. She learned humor, patience, frustration, joy. She learned that meaning was not found. It was made. One evening they returned to the rooftop where they had talked before. The city lights spread below them, imperfect and alive. "You know," Daniel said, "I never thought I'd matter on a galactic level." "You always mattered," Alira replied. "You simply did not measure yourself the way others tried to." He looked at her. "And you?" "I am still learning," she said. "But I am no longer searching." He reached for her hand. She took it, not because it was logical, because it felt right. Far beyond Earth, her people watched a young species refuse to be small. They did not fear humanity's weapons. They feared what happened when humans were invited instead of judged. And for the first time in generations, the future felt uncertain, which meant it was finally alive.